Welcome back. By the way, coming up on the virtual couch, Federal Education Minister TUDGE, who seems to be making a lot of enemies within the education fraternity, and about time too. But now let's welcome our flamboyant panel of opinionators. A lot of P's there. Senator Hollie Hughes, Prue McSween and Graham Richardson. Welcome, team.
Thanks, Smithy. Happy Father's Day, boys.
Great to be here.
Happy Father's Day to you both.
Yeah, to you too, Richo, to you too. The PM has contradicted two of his senior ministers by saying that if New South Wales reaches an 80% fully vaccinated level before other states and territories, the state citizens will be able to travel abroad. Hollie, I want to ask you, I thought when I heard Dan Tehan and Josh Frydenberg say that wouldn't be happening, I thought they've lost a major opportunity to get the waiver as vaccinated. But the Prime Minister didn't lose that opportunity.
No, and the Prime Minister's been very strong on this. And I think I even said it was only on the show last week that the four of us could be going to London from New South Wales before we'd be allowed to go into WA. And from 80%, Gladys has made it very clear that life will return to a very high level of normality, which is absolutely fantastic to hear. I think that's where a lot of Australians are at the moment. Once we get to those vaccination rates, absolutely things should open up. Gladys also today made a comment around a journal, I think, asked her that, you know, if people are very concerned at 70% about going out for dinner. And she basically said, well, if you're concerned, stay home, because everyone else who's vaccinated at 70% is going to be able to start enjoying these freedoms again.
Yep. It's a compelling argument. Now, after Friday's National Cabinet meeting, we've seen one Premier change her mind about reopening. Anastasia Palaszczuk is now revving up vaccinations at last after agreeing to reopen at 80%. But poor old Mark McGowan is not budging. Prue, he says he'll only reopen next year when it's safe. Now, has he got some secret weapon, do you think, that eliminates the Delta virus that he's not telling any of the scientists?
Well, his secret weapon is that he's playing to his audience, which is the WA voters. Having lived in Perth for a few years, I know how parochial it is. They hate you if you're from the East. You're always from the East. They never accept you, and they are very happy and comfortable in their own state and think they have the best place in the world to live. And he's playing to that audience. And the more he pokes the beast, which is Gladys or Scott Morrison or anybody who criticise him, his audience loves it. And so I don't actually believe, while the focus groups are telling him he's winning, he will keep at it. I mean, I'd think that Anastasia has found out that, you know, she's losing support fast, particularly after her very bad week last week. And I think she's read the messages that are coming in, and she's changed her tune. But certainly McGowan, he's not in any hurry. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, Richo, we spoke many times last year about the fact that the tea leaves were telling these premiers, especially Anastasia and Mark McGowan, to keep these borders closed as long as they can because it was polling well. People wanted to be safe more than anything. But I'm sensing a change in the mood, and you are really good at tapping in a change in mood. Dan Andrews has changed his tune. He's gone 180 degrees. Anastasia's done it today as well. Has Mark McGowan not read the change in mood, do you think?
Not yet, but he's pretty good at reading moods, so one imagines he'll get there. But I mean, look, in the West, it's a different place, and if you can just really see yourself juxtaposed to the East, you're always in front.
Yeah.
If you can keep saying the East are doing that, so we won't, we'll do the opposite. We'll be absolutely ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. We won't be doing what they're doing. And oddly enough, people in Perth and its surrounds seem to accept that.
Yeah, look, I understand that, but I just think that things are starting to change, and the two Labor premiers in Victoria and Queensland have caught up with this. I'd love to get some local polling on what people's sentiments are on this. Now, Hollie, this attempt last week by the Queensland Premier to scare Queenslanders over kids under 12 not being vaccinated, it met with widespread criticism from even her Labor colleagues, the likes of Bill Shorten, Richard Marles and Jim Chalmers. But Albo has been left out like a shag on a rock here, still backing her statements. Now, it tells me a number of things. It certainly tells me that there's a bit of a chasm between Anthony Albanese and his senior MPs or senior members on the opposite side of the House?
Well, certainly if you look at, I think, the members in the Otis dining group, they probably don't share the same views as Albanese when it comes to supporting some of these premiers outright. A lot of Labor Party members are very frustrated on this consistent support for lockdowns. I mean, if you want to talk about McGowan, I don't know if you saw it today. The Labor Party in WA literally referred to him as the state dad. I mean,
yes.
Just icky. I mean,
yes, they had to sign on social media and send him a special postcard thanking him for protecting their state and the best premier in the world or something.
Do they call him daddy now? I don't know. It's just gross. It's really icky. But I mean, the behaviour of PALASZCZUK and when she kept that 3-year-old child away from his parents, and the same week she's allowing a plane load of footballers and their wives and children up while she's put caps and removing everybody else coming home to Queensland. We had MPs and senators in Parliament last week not actually sure if they could even go home because they won't be given, you know, some of them had their passes denied. Yeah, so Richard, it was just extraordinary.
Can I just jump past you, Prue, for a second? I want to get Richo's take on this. You're a good friend of Albo's, Richo. Here is a situation where he didn't read the Doherty report, the Institute report, and didn't know that they knew there would be a whole heap of infections when we reached 80%, but they still recommended opening. And then a week later, he's gone against Bill Shorten, Richard Marles and also Jim Chalmers. I would have thought those three would have seen what Anastasia Palaszczuk said and said, that's an obvious one. We don't support that sort of scaremongering. That hasn't even come up in conversation anywhere. But Albo didn't get it. He stands there and supports her. Why?
Probably not his finest hour. I think all of us can make a mistake.
That's an understatement.
And I think he made one. And I'm not going to sit here and argue the case because it's pretty hard to argue. I think that was just an error. Put it down to he might be a bit tired. We'll give him a shot of juice or something and get him going again.
He needs it.
I think
God, he needs more than that.
That was a mistake, and it's not really, not with what he's got to beat.
Oh, you're now picking him to win, are you? You're going early, Richo.
No, I'm not saying he'll win, but I think it is a contest. Right. Which I don't think it was some time back. Yeah. I think he's got himself back in the hunt, and that's something. I mean, you've got to say Morrison's still odds-on favourite. He'd have to be, wouldn't he? I mean, I'm not a bookie, but I don't think I'd be betting against him at this stage. Especially but I don't think Albo's 100 to 1 either.
All right. I think when everyone gets vaccinated, those who want the vaccination, I think things will change. The sentiment will change. Prue, the New Zealand Prime Minister has shown her wokey colours, stating yesterday that religion had nothing to do with the criminal acts of the country's latest Islamic terrorist. She wouldn't even allow police to name him. Look, I know she's been a big hit with the Islamic community over there, but both those moves sort of deny the truth. We were able to release the name of the bloke from Grafton, but we can't release the Islamic terrorist, and we don't sort of link it to his craving for Islamic extremism. She's joking, isn't she?
Well, definitely. And, you know, I'm sure that members of the Islamic community would be horrified by this too, you know, and we have to acknowledge the fact that there are dangerous people in our communities. Some of them are Islamic, some are other religions and cultures, of course. And I just feel that it's really so typical of her that she's a fence sitter. Yep. I mean, they knew this guy was going to kill people. He was dangerous. Yep. Why didn't they change the laws, for God's sake, if she didn't have the right laws? Exactly. You know, it's just hand-wringing. It's appalling. I
agree entirely. Senator Hollie Hughes, Prue McSween, Graham Richardson, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks, Andy.
Good to have you with us. Coming up, a young federal minister on the rise, Alan Tudge, on saving our school children and why he didn't become a vet. He's next. Don't go away.